Waste not, want not, conquering food. Waste with science. Ever thrown out a perfectly good loaf of bread? That tinge of green on those strawberries got you down? Listen, we've all been there, staring mournfully into the depths of our refrigerators, wondering what unholy science experiment we're inadvertently conducting with our forgotten leftovers. So grab your lab coats, or aprons, and let's get preserving those precious foods. Refrigeration. Chilling out with science. First up, let's talk about the MVP of most modern kitchens, the refrigerator. This essential appliance has revolutionized the way we store and preserve food, making our lives more convenient and our meals safer. This stainless steel behemoth isn't just a glorified storage locker, it's a temperature-controlled time machine, slowing down the inevitable march of spoilage. By maintaining a cold environment, it keeps our food fresh for longer periods. But how does it pull off this feat of food-saving magic? The secret lies in its ability to create an inhospitable environment for bacteria and other microorganisms. Well, picture this. Inside every delicious morsel of food, microscopic bacteria are throwing a microscopic rave. These tiny organisms are constantly active, breaking down food and causing it to spoil. They're feasting, multiplying, and generally having a grand old time, all while slowly but surely turning your food into, well, something less than appetizing. Left unchecked, they can render your food inedible in a matter of days. That's where the refrigerator comes in. By lowering the temperature, it effectively slows down the activity of these microorganisms. Lowering the temperature inside your fridge is like turning down the music at that bacterial party. The cooler environment makes it harder for bacteria to thrive and multiply. You see, these tiny party animals thrive in warm temperatures. But as things cool down, their metabolic processes, the very reactions that allow them to grow and reproduce, start to slow down. This means your food stays fresh and safe to eat for a longer time. Now, to maximize your fridge's food-saving superpowers, we need to talk strategy. Proper organization and temperature control are key to getting the most out of your refrigerator. Aim for a consistently chilly 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below. That's the sweet spot for keeping those bacterial conga lines to a minimum. Regularly check your fridge's temperature to ensure it stays within this range. Imagine this. You've got a big pot of delicious soup, still steaming from the stovetop. You're eager to stash it away in the fridge, but hold on. That steaming cauldron of goodness is about to throw your refrigerator's carefully calibrated ecosystem into chaos. You're eager to stash it away in the fridge, but hold on. That steaming cauldron of goodness is about to throw your refrigerator's carefully calibrated ecosystem into chaos. The sudden influx of heat can raise the overall temperature, compromising the safety of all the food inside. So, what's a food-loving fiend to do? Simple, let your hot food cool down a bit before refrigerating. This small step can make a big difference in maintaining the optimal temperature inside your fridge. Your fridge and your food will thank you. By following these simple tips, you can ensure that your refrigerator remains an effective tool in the fight against food spoilage. Freezing, hitting the pause button on food spoilage. All right, folks, let's talk about the cryogenic chamber of the culinary world, the freezer. This frosty fortress is like the ultimate pause button for food, locking in freshness and flavor for months on end. But how does it work? Well, remember those microscopic party animals we talked about earlier? The bacteria that are constantly trying to turn your food into a science experiment? Freezing takes away their dancing shoes, literally. You see, when we freeze food, the water molecules inside those bacterial cells crystallize, essentially turning them into tiny, jagged ice shards. These ice crystals wreak havoc on the bacteria's delicate internal structures, effectively putting a stop to their growth and reproduction. It's like hitting the pause button on their metabolic processes, preserving your food in a state of suspended animation. But before you go tossing everything into the frozen abyss, there's a bit of finesse to this whole freezing business. To prevent freezer burn, proper packaging is key. Airtight containers are your best bet, locking in moisture and keeping those pests. All right, folks, buckle up, because we're about to delve into the wonderful world of canning, a time-honored tradition that's equal parts science and culinary alchemy. This process has been cherished by generations, not just for its practicality, but for the sheer joy of capturing the essence of each season in a jar. This is where we transform humble jars into miniature time capsules, preserving the flavors of summer's bounty for chilly winter days. Imagine opening a jar of sun-ripened tomatoes in the dead of winter and being transported back to the warmth of a summer garden. Now, canning might seem like some arcane art passed down through generations, but at its core, it's all about understanding the delicate dance between heat, pressure, and those ever-present microorganisms that are constantly vying for a piece of your culinary creations. It's a blend of tradition and science, where each step is crucial to ensure the safety and longevity of the preserved food. You see, canning is all about creating an inhospitable environment for those microscopic party crashers. By mastering this process, we can enjoy the fruits of our labor long after the harvest season has ended. We're talking about cranking up the heat, driving out oxygen, and creating an airtight seal that would make Fort Knox jealous. This seal is the guardian of our preserved treasures, ensuring that no unwanted guests can spoil our hard work. And how do we achieve this feat of food preservation? Through the magic of sterilization. This step is non-negotiable, as it sets the stage for the entire canning process. Sterilization in the canning world is all about eradicating those pesky microorganisms that can spoil our food. It's a meticulous process that requires attention to detail and a bit of patience. We're talking about subjecting our jars, lids, and even the food itself to a carefully orchestrated heat treatment that leaves no bacterium unscathed. This ensures that our preserved food remains safe and delicious for months or even years to come. Now, there are two main methods for achieving this culinary cleansing: water bath canning and pressure canning. Each method has its own set of rules and best practices, tailored to different types of food. Water bath canning, as the name suggests, involves submerging jars of food in a bath of boiling water for a specific amount of time, effectively eliminating any heat-sensitive bacteria. This method is perfect for high-acid foods like fruits, tomatoes, and pickles, ensuring they remain safe and flavorful. All right, folks, let's journey back to the roots of food preservation, to a time before refrigerators and freezers, when humans relied on the power of the sun and a little ingenuity to preserve their hard-earned harvests. That's right, we're talking about drying, a technique as old as time itself, yet just as relevant and useful in today's modern kitchens. Now, drying might seem like a simple concept. Remove moisture, preserve food, but there's a bit more to it than meets the eye. You see, those microscopic mischief makers we've been talking about, the bacteria and mold that love nothing more than turning your food into a science experiment gone wrong, well, they need moisture to survive. Drying, as you might have guessed, is all about depriving those microorganisms of their lifeblood. By removing moisture from food, we're essentially turning it into an inhospitable desert, a place where bacteria and mold wither and die. Now, there are a few ways to achieve this culinary dehydration. The most traditional method, of course, is sun drying, a technique as old as agriculture itself. This involves spreading food out in a single layer, exposing it to the sun's warm rays, and allowing nature to work its magic. All right, folks, get ready to have your minds blown, because we're about to enter the fascinating, funky, and downright delicious world of fermentation. This ancient technique has been used for thousands of years across different cultures, and it's still as relevant and exciting today as it was back then. Now, I know what you're thinking. Fermentation, isn't that just a fancy word for controlled rot? And you know what? You're not entirely wrong. But trust me on this one, because fermentation is where science meets culinary magic, transforming ordinary ingredients into tangy, complex, and gut-healthy delights. It's a process that not only preserves food, but also enhances its flavors and nutritional value. So, what exactly is fermentation? In the simplest terms, it's the process of using microorganisms, like bacteria and yeast, to transform food. These microorganisms are like tiny chefs working behind the scenes, breaking down the components of food to create something entirely new and delicious. These tiny helpers break down sugars and starches, producing lactic acid, alcohol, and other compounds that give fermented foods their characteristic tang, fizz, and umami depth. It's a symphony of chemical reactions that result in flavors and textures that are simply out of this world. Now, I know what you're thinking. Bacteria in my food? Isn't that a recipe for disaster? And while it's true that some bacteria are best avoided, the microorganisms involved in fermentation are actually beneficial, even essential for our health. They play a crucial role in maintaining the balance of our gut flora. These friendly bacteria, known as probiotics, help populate our gut microbiome, the trillions of microorganisms that reside in our digestive system. They aid in digestion, help absorb nutrients, and even protect against harmful pathogens. A healthy gut microbiome is crucial for everything from digestion and nutrient absorption to immune function and even mental health. Yes, you heard that right. What's happening in your gut can actually influence your mood and overall well-being. But enough about the science, let's talk about the deliciousness. Fermentation is responsible for some of the world's most beloved culinary creations, from tangy sauerkraut and kimchi to creamy yogurt and kefir. These foods are not only tasty but also packed with health benefits, from bubbly sourdough bread to complex cheeses and even chocolate. So next time you enjoy these foods, remember the incredible journey they've been through, thanks to the magic of fermentation. So there you have it, folks. 5 science-backed techniques to transform you from a food-wasting novice to a preservation pro. Remember, food preservation isn't just about saving money or reducing waste. It's about harnessing the power of science to unlock a world of flavor, nutrition, and culinary possibilities. Now go forth and preserve. And don't forget to subscribe for more food science tips.